She practiced the line in the mirror 4 times before saying it to me. Did she think I wouldn't hear her? The bathroom door was cracked. Her voice was low, careful, almost rehearsed, like she was auditioning for a role she didn't fully believe she deserved. I want a divorce. Then she waited. She waited like someone expecting applause. I didn't move. I stood in the hallway holding the stupid grocery bag I'd forgotten in the car earlier. Melting ice cream in one hand, my entire future in the other. She finally walked out, saw me standing there, and froze. I said nothing. She said nothing. Her eyes didn't show regret. They showed anticipation. Like she was waiting for me to collapse, to fall to my knees, to cry or plead or scream. Something dramatic. Something humiliating. Instead, I said 5 words. It's on the kitchen table. That's when her face changed. She walked into the kitchen. Slowly. Like she already knew what she'd find. There, next to the fruit bowl she never used and the coffee maker I cleaned every morning, sat a tan envelope. Thick, heavy, neatly labeled. Her hands shook as she opened it. She pulled out the documents, flipped the pages, saw the date, saw the signature. Mine. She looked at me. Her lips parted. No sound came out. That was the moment the act fell apart. Because this wasn't her plan. This wasn't how Blair told her it would go. Yes, I heard that too. The night before. Say it. Just say you want a divorce and wait. He'll panic. He'll beg. Then you control the game. But I don't beg. I don't play games I'm not allowed to win. And this time, I brought my own rules. She stood there for a full minute, flipping through the papers, pretending to read, but clearly not processing a single word. Her fingers moved, but her brain was still stuck in a loop. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't part of the script. I could see it all playing out behind her eyes like a movie that suddenly jumped ahead 5 scenes and left her behind. Finally, she looked up. Wait, what is this? She asked. Her voice was thinner than usual, no longer steady and smug like the night before when she was on the phone with Blair, whispering about how she'd dropped the bombshell, then let him sweat it out. I leaned against the counter and shrugged. It's exactly what it looks like. Divorce papers. Signed. Filed. All the details are there. You wanted one, right? That moment, that exact second, was the first time I saw real confusion flash across her face. Not regret. Not guilt. Just sheer disbelief that her little trick didn't work. She wasn't expecting this. Blair told her I'd panic, beg her to stay, offer therapy, wine, maybe even a desperate vacation to try and win her back. That I'd crumble at the mere thought of losing her. Instead, I called her bluff before she even got the full line out. I thought we were going to talk about this, she said, setting the envelope down like it burned her fingers. Not just jump to this. You don't get to rehearse a breakup like it's theater, I replied. And if you're going to follow your friend's advice, maybe make sure he doesn't hear you practicing it first. Her jaw twitched. Oh yeah, she knew I heard. The funny part? I almost didn't check her phone. I had never been that guy. I respected privacy. I believed trust wasn't earned through surveillance. But after weeks of tension, missing pieces, late nights, and secretive grins, curiosity finally cracked me open. It was a text that pushed me over the edge. A stupid pop-up from Blair, flashing across the lock screen as my wife showered. Remember, just say the line. Don't blink. He'll fold. I blinked instead, then opened the phone. No password change. She got too cocky. What I found was more than just messages. It was strategy. Bullet points. A script. She'd even listed possible reactions I might have and what she should do in each case. One of them literally said, if he cries, pretend to second guess. If he offers therapy, say it's too late. If he gets angry, leave dramatically. There was no entry for, if he hands you legal documents and walks away without a word. Because that's not how I was supposed to react. She kept pacing the kitchen now, arms crossed, eyes darting around like there was still a way to take it all back. You're really doing this? She asked, this time her voice cracking just a little. After everything? I nodded slowly. Yes, after everything. Exactly because of everything. She didn't say another word, just stood there, barefoot, small, silent, and I realized something strange. She never expected to lose me. She never imagined I'd have the strength to walk away first. To her, I was the soft one, the helper, the housekeeper, the man who always forgave, always fixed, always stayed. But not this time. Because this time, I wasn't reacting. I was already gone. She didn't speak for a while. Just stood there, blinking like the room was spinning too fast to keep up with. I think she expected me to take it back, to say it was a joke, that the envelope was empty, that I panicked and did something stupid, and now I was ready to talk it out like a rational couple on a Thursday night. But I didn't take anything back. Instead, I walked past her, not angrily, just done. I went to the bedroom, grabbed a folded hoodie from the laundry chair, and pulled a small USB drive from the inside pocket. That's when her expression shifted. "What's that?" she asked. I didn't answer. I plugged it into my laptop and turned the screen so she could see it. Her color drained. See, what she didn't know, or maybe forgot in her rush to build this little breakup operation, was that our home computer synced automatically to a cloud drive. That included her emails, her messages, and every screenshot she thought she deleted from her phone while smiling at me from across the dinner table. There were dozens of them. Screenshots of conversations with someone named Deacon. I opened one. Read it aloud. "Taryn, I'm just waiting for the right moment. I want him to think it was his idea. That way, there's no guilt. Deacon, smart. Once he's out of the house, you can finally breathe. Taryn, and you can finally stay the night." She lunged forward and tried to shut the laptop, but I slapped it shut myself before she could. "I wasn't cheating," she said quickly. Too quickly. "That wasn't we never. You didn't need to." I interrupted. "You planned it. You conspired. That's betrayal enough." She crossed her arms, but now it wasn't power, it was defense. "Why were you going through my stuff?" "Because I knew something was off," I said. "Because I couldn't sleep at night while the person I loved rehearsed how to destroy me in the mirror." She scoffed and turned away, like I had just insulted her intelligence. "You're being dramatic." That's when I laughed. Actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. I was being dramatic? "You staged our marriage like a play, picked your exit scene, and invited an audience," I said. "Don't act confused when I rewrite the ending." There was a long silence. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You're overreacting. Blair said this would bring clarity. That pushing you would make you fight for us. I just needed to know if you'd finally grow up and take charge." That was it. The mask peeled back. She didn't want divorce. She wanted control. She wanted to play chicken with my sanity and see if I swerved first. And when I didn't, she blamed me for not crashing like she planned. "You know what's funny?" I said, looking her dead in the eyes. "Blair gave you all that advice, but you never once asked yourself why she's been divorced 3 times and drinks her dinner alone." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You wanted clarity?" I added. "Here it is. I'm done. I'm not playing the wounded puppy this time." And for once, she had no reply. But I wasn't finished. Because the Deacon texts weren't the worst part. Not even close. Because in that same folder, buried in a subfolder she thought I'd never see, was a video. A video recorded 2 weeks ago. Her voice. In our bedroom. Talking to someone off camera. And what she said in it. That's what would change everything. I didn't plan to watch the video right away. Truthfully, I had found it 2 days earlier while combing through the backup folders from her synced apps, tucked away in a folder named Invoices_2021. Clever. She hid it somewhere boring, assuming I'd never click through old receipts from a non-existent photography hobby she once pretended to start. But boredom is a funny thing when your heart's been shattered. It sharpens your focus. So that night, after our kitchen standoff, after she stormed upstairs and slammed the door like she was the victim of some great injustice, I stayed downstairs. I made myself coffee, decaf, but it helped me think, and opened the file. There she was, sitting cross-legged on our bed, holding a wine glass and recording on her front-facing camera. No makeup, hair in a loose bun, wearing the oversized hoodie she used to steal from me every winter. I hit play. "I need to get this out," she said into the camera, sounding tipsy but composed. "I need to say it out loud to believe it's real." She took a long sip of wine. "I don't love him anymore. I don't know when I stopped, honestly. Maybe it was when he started apologizing for everything. Or when I realized I don't want to take care of someone who can't push back." I leaned in. I thought being with someone kind and steady would be safe. And it was. But it's also suffocating. He's boring. Predictable. He still blushes when I take off my shirt. After 11 years. Like, grow up. Another sip. And then Deacon came back into my life. Out of nowhere. God, I forgot how electric he is. He doesn't apologize for who he is. He makes decisions. He tells me no. And that makes me feel, God, I sound awful, alive. I paused the video. I had to. My hands were shaking too much to even grip the mouse. It wasn't just what she said. It was how easily it left her lips. Like she had already mentally left me months ago and was now performing a farewell monologue to make herself feel better. But the part that destroyed me came at the end. She glanced at the screen, then laughed softly. I'm not going to leave Clint. Not yet. I want him to be the one to walk. That way I don't feel like the bad guy. Blair says that's cleaner. Less guilt. So yeah, I'll push. And when he finally says he's done, I'll be free. Free to move on. Free to breathe again. She smiled. A sad little smirk like she'd just completed a therapy session. Then the screen went black. And there it was. The full truth. She had no intention of working through anything. No desire to fix, or talk, or even pretend. She just wanted me to do the dirty work. To set myself on fire so she could walk away clean, without a single scar on her conscience. I sat in silence for a long time. Not crying. Not raging. Just realizing how blind I'd been. I gave everything to her. I made excuses for every cold shoulder, every night she stayed out, every moment she treated me like a roommate with a chore list instead of a husband with a heart. And the whole time, she was crafting an exit plan so she could walk away looking like the one who tried. But not anymore. I backed up the video. Twice. Once on a private drive, once on a burner cloud account. Not to use against her. Not to ruin her life. Just to remind myself, if I ever wavered, of exactly who she had become. Upstairs, I heard her closet door slam. Probably packing. Probably texting Blair. Probably planning her second act. Let her. Because the performance was over. And I wasn't playing the fool anymore. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. No note. No text. Not even the usual passive-aggressive breakfast mess she liked to leave behind. Just the faint scent of her perfume clinging to the hallway like a ghost that hadn't realized it was dead yet. I stood in the kitchen, pouring cold coffee into the sink, thinking about the video again. Not just the words she said. Those had already cut me open, but the smile at the end. That small, satisfied grin like she'd just solved a puzzle. She really thought she was 3 moves ahead. Like I was just some pawn waiting to be sacrificed for the greater good of her freedom. But this time, I wasn't playing her game. I sent the video to exactly one person. Not Blair. Not Deacon. Not her parents. And definitely not her. I sent it to Holland, her older sister. The one who used to call me too soft when Taryn wasn't listening. The one who saw right through her drama but stayed quiet out of family loyalty. Holland and I were never close, but we respected each other. And more importantly, I knew she cared about truth. No sugarcoating. No fake narratives. Just cold, clear reality. I wrote exactly 4 words in the email. You should see this. No explanation. No emotional breakdown. Just the video and silence. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed. Holland, where is she right now? I told her I wasn't sure. Out. Probably with Blair or the man-child named Deacon, who I still hadn't looked up because I didn't trust myself not to drive somewhere I'd regret. Holland sent another message. She's about to lose more than she realizes. Stay out of it for now. I didn't know what that meant. And for the first time in days, I didn't want to know, not yet. I trusted her to handle it. The one thing I'd learned through all of this was that truth, once released, does not stay small. It spreads. It infects. And it always finds the people it's supposed to reach. That evening, Taryn came home. No knock, no ceremony. Just the sound of keys clinking in the door and a dramatic sigh, like she was coming back from war. I think we need to talk, she said, not making eye contact. I didn't look up from the couch. Sure. You first. She sat down across from me, crossed her legs, picked at a thread on her sleeve. I overreacted. I was emotional. I didn't mean to say I wanted a divorce. That was heat of the moment stuff. I think we both just need to slow down and talk like adults. I studied her for a moment. She was calmer now. Not smug, not angry. Just nervous. Like someone walking into a job interview without knowing if the boss had already seen their drunk texts from last weekend. I didn't answer. I let the silence stretch. She tried again. Look, I think maybe things got twisted. And if I'm being honest, I don't even really know how that video ended up. There it was. She knew. She knew I'd seen it. Or worse, someone else had. Someone she hadn't prepared for. I leaned forward slightly. Don't worry. I didn't send it to Blair. I figured she helped you write the damn script. Her eyes flashed. Then who did you send it to? I smiled for the first time in days. Someone who doesn't tolerate actresses. The color drained from her face. And in that moment, she realized her safe little narrative. The one where I was the weak one. The over-emotional husband who'd fall apart quietly while she found herself was collapsing. Because when you build your house on lies, it only takes one spark of truth to burn it down. The thing about people like Taryn is they always assume they're the smartest in the room, that the world will bend around their timing, their plans, their narrative. They treat honesty like a tool to be used when convenient and buried when it isn't. But the problem with playing God is that you forget other people are watching. It took less than 24 hours for her world to start cracking. I don't know exactly what Holland said to her or to the rest of their family, but by Friday morning, the ripple effect had already begun. Taryn woke up with the frantic energy of someone who'd heard distant thunder but was still hoping it might not rain. She was pacing around the living room, phone in hand, scrolling like her life depended on it. I didn't say a word. I sipped my coffee and watched her like she was a stranger trespassing in my house. She paused and looked up. "Did you talk to my sister again?" "Nope." "You're lying." I shrugged. "Think what you want." She went back to tapping her phone screen, lips pressed tight, like she was biting back panic. I could see her messages lighting up, notifications coming in one after another. Her phone wasn't silent anymore, it was screaming. But she didn't want me to see that. I left the room. I didn't need to stay and watch. I already knew what she was dealing with. And if I'm being honest, I wasn't interested in watching her unravel for my satisfaction. I wanted distance, not destruction. Let her lies eat themselves alive. Let the silence fill in the blanks she'd carefully scripted. I wasn't going to chase that. But she followed me. "You had no right to share that video," she snapped, voice sharp now, brittle like old glass. "That was private. You violated my trust." I turned slowly and looked her dead in the eyes. "Trust?" I asked. "You staged a breakup like it was a chess match, mapped out emotional traps, manipulated me into thinking I was the villain, and you're lecturing me about trust?" She didn't answer. Couldn't. So I kept going. "I didn't send that video to shame you. I sent it so someone, anyone, would finally see me. Because clearly, you stopped doing that a long time ago." She tried to respond, but no words came. Her jaw clenched, and I could see the shift from control to fear. And then, her phone rang. She stepped out to take it, thinking I wouldn't hear. But the house was quiet, painfully so. I stood by the stairwell, listening. "Blair, it's bad," she whispered. "Holland knows everything. I don't know how Clint got that video, but she saw it. She forwarded it to my mom. My mom, Blair." There was a pause. I'm trying to get ahead of it, but it's spreading. People are asking questions. About me. About Deacon. About. Another pause. No, I can't spin this. They're not buying the emotional breakdown excuse. Holland's telling everyone I planned it. That I manipulated Clint into filing. She said it was sociopathic. Her voice cracked. And Blair's voice? I only heard two words. Fix it. After she hung up, she stood frozen in the hallway for almost a full minute. Then she walked upstairs without looking at me, shut the bedroom door, and stayed there. And for the first time in weeks, I breathed easy. Because I didn't need revenge. I didn't need screaming matches, public humiliation, or grand explosions. All I needed was to take one single truth and drop it gently into the pool she thought was calm and controlled. And just like that, the ripples reached the edge. By Saturday morning, the house felt like it belonged to ghosts. She barely came out of the bedroom, and when she did, her steps were slow, cautious, as if walking through a minefield she built herself and forgot how to disarm. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was hostile, alive, and I had no intention of rescuing her from it. Around noon, she finally broke the stillness. I was in the garage sorting through old boxes when I heard the front door open. Her voice floated in behind it. "I just need to talk." "That's it. Please, Deacon." I stayed out of sight. Her voice dropped lower, but I heard the desperation in it. Not sexy or confident like it had been in her video, but strained, uncertain. She ended the call and didn't even close the front door all the way. She stood there in the hallway, arms wrapped around herself, like she'd just stepped into a cold wind. 20 minutes later, a car pulled up. I heard it before I saw it. The low growl of an engine trying too hard to sound impressive. A matte black Dodge Charger with tinted windows. He parked crooked, engine still running. I peered through the blinds as a man got out. Deacon. He looked exactly how I expected, and somehow worse. Fake tough. Oversized jacket, tight jeans, a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. He walked like the world owed him attention and stood on our porch like he owned the oxygen. Taryn opened the door fully now, voice shrill with relief. Thank you for coming. I needed to see you. He didn't hug her, didn't smile, just nodded once and walked inside, like he was doing her a favor, like showing up was some noble act. I stayed in the garage, quietly, letting the walls hear what I couldn't bear to see. What the hell is going on? He asked, voice low but annoyed. Why is your sister messaging me? Why is your mom calling me a homewrecker? I didn't sign up for this circus. Taryn's voice wavered. Clint found the video. He sent it to Holland. There was a pause. Then Deacon laughed, sharp, cruel. You made a video? She snapped. It wasn't for anyone. I needed to vent. I didn't think he'd find it. You told me this guy was pathetic, that he'd just sign the papers and fade out. You said it'd be clean. Well, it's not clean anymore. His voice hardened. You said I wouldn't get dragged into this. You won't. I can fix it. I need time. Another pause. Then he said something I didn't expect. I think I'm out. What? You heard me. I don't need this. The drama. The family. The sister calling me at 6 a.m. to tell me you played your husband like it was a social experiment? That's not sexy, Taryn. That's psycho. You're serious? I was sleeping with you. That's it. You made it into a soap opera. There it was. The real Deacon. Not the fantasy version she cried into wine about. Not the charming man who makes her feel alive. Just a bored guy with a muscle car and a wandering zipper, now backing away from the fallout like it was beneath him. I didn't hear anything else. Maybe she tried to stop him. Maybe she cried. But 5 minutes later, I heard the door slam again. The charger peeled out. And Taryn? She didn't come back upstairs. Instead, she sat on the bottom step for over an hour. I saw her through the crack in the door. Head down, shoulders shaking. But I didn't move. Because it was never about punishing her. It was about letting the truth settle in. She didn't just lose a marriage. She lost the illusion. The safety net. The story she told herself when she looked in the mirror. And for the first time, I think she finally saw what everyone else had started to see. There was no hero in her version of the story. Just a husband she discarded. And a stranger walking away without looking back. She didn't speak to me that night. Not a single word. I passed her once on the stairs. Her eyes were red, but dry now. Empty in a way that I almost felt sorry for. Almost. She didn't glare, didn't scowl, didn't accuse. She just looked like someone standing in the middle of wreckage she accidentally set on fire. Like she didn't expect the match to catch, but it did. And now here we were, in the smoldering ruin of everything we used to call a life. But the truth is, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. Something strange had happened over the last few days. As the deception unraveled and the noise of it all shook our world apart, I felt something underneath the rubble. Myself, standing up. Not the version of me she liked, the quiet one who folded laundry and apologized too quickly, but the one I hadn't seen in years. The man with boundaries. With value. With peace. I slept well that night for the first time in months. The next morning, she came downstairs while I was making coffee. No makeup. Hair tied back. Sweater hanging off one shoulder like it used to when she'd sit with me on Sunday mornings before the world got in the way. She stood in the kitchen doorway, holding her phone. I'm going to move out today, she said softly. I'll stay with Holland until I figure things out. I just nodded. Okay. She hesitated. I'm not going to fight you. For anything. The house, the stuff. I don't want it. It doesn't feel like mine anymore. It never was, I said, not unkindly. She gave me a long, searching look. For what, I don't know. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe permission to keep pretending none of this happened. But I wasn't going to give her that. What I did give her was something else. I hope you figure out who you are without hurting anyone else to get there, I said. Really? That broke her. Not into tears, into silence. Honest silence. She walked upstairs, packed a single bag, and by 10 a.m., she was gone. No screaming. No drama. No slamming doors. Just the sound of her car fading down the road, like a chapter closing itself. And that was it. I didn't post the video. I didn't trash her online. I didn't call her names or dig for revenge. Instead, I watered my plants. Took Baxter the parakeet out into the sun. Called my brother just to talk. I even booked a weekend cabin trip. Just me, a pile of books, and no one telling me I wasn't enough. Because I was. I always was. She just couldn't see it. And for the first time in a long time, that didn't hurt anymore. The funny thing about being discarded is that it shows you what you were never meant to carry in the first place. Her expectations, her judgments, her slow, daily erosion of the man I used to be. Now I sit in my living room, sun pouring through the windows she used to keep shut, sipping good coffee I actually enjoy, and smiling at the quiet. Not because I lost her, but because I finally found me.